Hello, everybody. Oh, shit. Forgot to turn down my volume. Sorry about that, bros. So hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's me, ChipZ. And we're back with One Piece Chapter 1081. We were on break last week, and the last two chapters we got were kind of a big deal, if you haven't heard. Yoy, my boy, what's up, Ishmael the Adventurer? How are you doing today? Good to hear from you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so Oda kind of fucked us the past couple weeks. I mean, he hit us with like two of like the most like hype chapters we've gotten in ages, like back to back, but he included a break in between each, like after 1079, hit us with a break, and then after 1080, hit us with another fucking break. So thank you for that, Oda. Appreciate you. We could only stand so much hype at one time. Obviously, we need our One Piece drip fed to us in small doses. So, hence, we are back a week later. We had to get by a week without One Piece. Hopefully none of y'all killed yourselves in that time. And I wish you all the best. But yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, or for anyone who's living under a fucking rock right now, basically... in 1079, we got, a little bit of Egghead, but it was mostly Shanks versus the Kid Pirates. Kid got fucked. Poor boy. Hopefully he's doing all right somewhere down at the bottom of the sea with him and his dead ship and crew. Got a little bit of Shanks wank. But then last week, we also got some good shit. We got Blackbeard Pirates versus Sword. And it looks like Garp Chujo, aka Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandpa, is leading the charge. And he was, throwing some big punches. His Galaxy Fist was pretty cool. It was an interesting chapter. I'll be honest, I don't have a ton to say. So, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just get into the chapter. No more waiting. Let's do this shit. So without any further ado, it's One Piece Chapter 1081. One thing I will say is that unlike the last two chapters, I have not been spoiled to anything for this chapter yet. So that makes me think we're going back to Egghead. We're picking up where we left off. We're getting some more Egghead shit, which I'm all for. Like, my heart rate was going through the roof, being the old fogey that I am from the last two chapters. So I could use a return to normalcy. Thank you, Oda. Sudoku Lefty, peen, eggs, and ham. Indeed, man. Peen, eggs, and ham, for sure. Sausage, eggs, and bacon. Okay, anyway. So let's get into this chapter of One Piece. Chapter 1081. I don't even know the title of the chapter. I have not been spoiled, unlike the last 2 weeks. Thank God for that. Thank Goda for that, truly. Sour, what's up? We got content this chapter. Ooh, content. You know me, bro. You know I love some content. So, all right, let's see what's up. Let me see. Sour says, then again, pretty much every chapter is content. Indeed. Indeed, my man. All right, so here, let's get into it. Weekly. So we got a One Piece on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump with a bunch of other horrible mid-tier series like My Hero Academia that no one gives a fuck about. Jujutsu Kaisen, which is heavily overrated. Black Clover, I hear it's okay. I kind of don't believe that. It might be okay. I don't know. I hear it's kind of like Naruto a little bit. It's like I've heard it's like Fairy Tail if Fairy Tail was good. That's what I've heard. So maybe it's good because Fairy Tail at least had like kind of an okay premise, but it just like kind of like fumbled the bag, fumbled the landing a little bit. So who knows? And this guy, the chubby guy, is cool. I forget what it. And then this is either Mashal or something else. I know some of these series. I'm not like the only series that I read weekly right now are One Piece and Chainsaw Man. I've read some other like manga recently, but like most of them are like done or like like monthly. So. Like Vinland Saga, for instance. I'm not quite caught up, but I had gotten caught up after the first season of the anime ended and stuff, and I need to get caught up with the new Berserk chapters. I haven't caught up with those, and I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I should like stream more like chapter reactions and shit. I feel like One Piece is kind of like the big one. That's like the one that like I know people give a fuck about. And it's like the most consistent. It comes out weekly. I know exactly when it's coming out. I usually get notified. So like it's, you know, it's much easier to cover. I get notified when like the scans drop as well, which is great. So I'll probably just keep it to One Piece. Maybe I'll do like a Berserk read through just like to catch up to Berserk at some point or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking about more things I can do on Twitch. I've been a little busy, so I haven't been streaming as much, so I apologize for that. Hope y'all have been haven't been too starved for content, and I will drip feed you some content in the coming weeks. Thank you very much. Sour Lemon says official best fantasy Demon Slayer isn't there. Demon Slayer, yes, best fantasy, indeed, if you say so, buddy. Probably because it's over. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't even know that. All right, so getting into the chapter, like I said, I don't even know the fucking title. And we got a nice color spread this week. This is cute. So we got all the Straw Hats, or not all of them, all the boys. You know, this is a fucking boys weekend right here. And we got the chipmunks chewing on their nuts, or chewing on some berries or nuts. I presume this is a metaphor for the fact that all of these characters have nuts, and their nuts are being chewed on by these squirrels. So anyway, this is cute. I like seeing the boys together. Jinbei looking funny. Everyone with like a fucking nose bubble is cute. Sanji unable to sleep for whatever reason, reading his cookbook. That's cute. And like I like seeing the little squirrel guys hang out with the Straw Hats. This is a cute cover page. Wow, Zoro's hand is all up on Frankie's face, and it looks like Frankie is loving it. So, are they about to take the sleepover from up from 10 and take it on to 11? You know, getting a little frisky over here, are we, Zoro? You know, Luffy and Jinbei are cuddling. Brook is just kind of, you know, flopped all over the shop. This is cute. I like this. Sour says, calling it Best Fantasy is a meme for me because it won that award at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Yeah. I mean, I watched a friend of mine tried to get me to watch get into Demon Slayer. She showed me, like, the first episode. I was not, I was like, it looks nice, you know, that's cool, but, like, I wasn't feeling it in any particular way. It was, you know, it was like, okay, I've seen this type of thing before. Like, the colors look cool, but, like, it's not doing anything I haven't seen before, which is oftentimes, like, I'm either looking for something that does something in particular that I like, or something that's kind of, like, doing something at least a little bit differently than what I'm used to. So, like, Chainsaw Man is cool because of how, like, direct the characters are and how, like, humble their goals are a lot of the times, which is just like, I just want a boyfriend, or I just want, you know, to have sex, you know, stuff like that. But like, the bluntness of Chainsaw Man is kind of what makes it charming. One Piece, obviously, is just, like, the most, you know, just like a world-spanning adventure, you know, absolutely super fun and lighthearted, but can also be, like, intense and, you know, gripping at times and stuff, and just has so many moving parts. You know, Berserk, like, beautiful scenery, beautiful fantasy story with, like, some amazing dark fantasy elements to it. Absolutely gut-wrenching if you care about what's going on, you know, stuff like that. Vinland Saga, like, you know, definitely like an interesting, fun historical fiction story. I've also been reading, like, some other stuff I've been reading is I started to read the Blame again, because I started reading it when I was, like, in high school, but I only read, like, my friend lent me, like, the first 2 volumes, and I never read more. But I recently have been playing Bleak Faith Forsaken, which is kind of, like, the art direction of that game is, like, and just, like, the story of that game is heavily, and, like, the setting of that game is heavily inspired by Blame. So I was like, I need to pick up Blame again. It's so cool. It's so unique. Such, like, an interesting series. There's nothing quite like it, in terms of, like, sci-fi, like, super aesthetic, like, kind of, like, dark, you know, science fantasy type of stuff. So, you know, it's really, really sick, and I've been reading, you know, I've actually just ordered the next volume, so I'm pretty excited for that one. But I've also been reading, Doro Hedoro, I believe, which is also kind of like a bit of like a, you know, science fantasy, kind of like dark gritty, but like also has like a good bit of like humor. It's got like a similar aesthetic to Blame in some ways, but it's like a bit more like shonen-y. It's a bit more fun. or like funny and like, you know, lighthearted a little bit, while still being pretty serious and grotesque. And I've also been reading Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I've been on a big like sci-fi kick recently, and One Piece has been on a bit of a sci-fi kick as well. So it's good timing for me, that's for sure. Sour Lemon says, it's a show that you recognize is good but doesn't make you feel anything. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure it's well made. It's just like I've seen the tropes. It's what's it called? Like, I've seen the tropes it's trafficking in so much that like it's just like it didn't do anything. At least the first episode did nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? Sour says, One Piece is everything and generally one of the most imaginative and inventive stories out there. Oh, absolutely, indeed. One Piece has everything. Yeah, One Piece has a bit of everything for sure. Okay, getting into the chapter. So, are we back on Full Lead? AKA Beehive, AKA the Japanese name for the island. I forget. Hachinosu, that's the one. Hachinosu. Okay, so that's interesting. I was so convinced we were going to cut away from this whole thing and just like forget about it. But no, we're actually getting a little bit more of the aftermath of Garp's devastating attack. So, where will this battleship land? That is what I've been wondering. I'm thinking that Garp is probably, after his punch is done, he's going to just, like, catch it. He's going to just catch it, and everything's going to be gravy, baby. And then, basically, the Sword Boys, having taken out all the fodder with that one maneuver to get everyone into the town square, which all of the Sword members did their part in, by the way, which is pretty cool. You know, what's her name with her whips? That one girl with her flower gun or whatever. You know, fucking Prince Groose with his cum goblins. and yeah, like, all that has been pretty cool, and it's been fun to see. And then Garp, obviously, is the one who dealt the finishing blow. Like, they were just kind of herding the pirates of, I like calling it Beehive, but I guess I'll just stick with Hachinosu since that's the Japanese name for now. I kind of hate Full of Lead. It sounds worse. Like, I liked Beehive because it kind of, like, it felt like there are like holes in that like skull thing, and I was like, oh, cool. It's sort of like a beehive motif, and I think there is a kind of like a double entendre going on there. Like, you know, I think Oda does kind of have like, he's like, Full of Lead works as well because it's like been pumped full of lead, right? There's a bunch of holes in like the giant skull or whatever. So either name works. I just think Beehive sounds cooler. It's kind of like the Katakuri versus Dogtooth debate. I think it's pretty much settled on Katakuri at this point, but Dogtooth is kind of like a badass name as well. So, you know, it's just, you know, what you prefer, I suppose. What's Sour saying here? It wasn't a good cutaway point at the end of last chapter, just a good chapter end spot. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe they'll cut away mid-chapter. Like I said, I haven't read the chapter yet. As always, this is my initial read through. These are my real on-the-spot thoughts and impressions, as usual. What's up, Damon475? Incorrect. Pirate Island is the best. I agree with you. I say, because it is the Pirate Island, and that's a great epitaph or whatever. Pirate Island Full Lead, Pirate Island Hachinosu, or Pirate Island Beehive? Which one sounds cooler to you? Personally, to me, I like Pirate Island Beehive. You know, because, and like, even at the beginning of the last chapter, it's like, what's happening on the, like, the subtitles were like, what's happening on the island of pirates, or like the hive of piracy. I like it as like, it's the place where all the pirates, like, all like the worst pirates, the most like scumbaggy pirates return to and like kind of, you know, and kind of like burrow into the hive or whatever. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of why I like the motif of Beehive. I like the way it like fits in with like the way the island has been portrayed so far. So Pirate Island Beehive is what I like to call it. Nah, they never cut away from this island. The rest of One Piece takes place on this island. Thank you for clarifying that, Sour Lemon. I'm glad you asked Oda on our behalf. Okay, so let's get into it. Chapter 1081, Kuzan, 10th captain of the Blackbeard Pirates. Ooh, are we about to get a showdown between Kuzan and Garp? That would be pretty fucking wild. Okay. Where will this battleship land? Okay, so we see the giant skull. We see the ship, you know, fucking flying through the air. We still don't exactly know how it launched. A lot of people that I was talking to on Discord the other day were speculating that Garp probably just like punched the water or something, and that's what like launched the ship. So I'm guessing that once Garp is done with the impact of his punch, he will also be the one to catch the ship. So we'll just have to see what happens. You can see the impact from the punch. It's blowing up buildings, destroys like literally every pirate on the island who's just like a scrub, besides the Blackbeard crew and stuff. So that's pretty cool. God damn. So everyone's flying away. Everyone's super fucked up. Garp looking like an absolute mad lad over here. He's got that dog in him, just like his ship. He's got that fucking dog in him. He's looking scary. He's looking spooky. He's looking fucking ill and sick and badass with his fucking hockey fist, you know. And it's gonna crush us, they say, as all the buildings are falling on top of the other people. Clay ordination. So we got Prince Groose. He's doing so Prince Groose is gonna be the one to catch the ship. That actually makes a lot of sense. So does Prince Groose have a Logia? This feels like a Logia power to me, with like the way he can like just kind of, you know, create splooshy cum waves out of nothing, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. It feels like a Logia power. Could be a Paramecia, because it looks like similar to Mr. 3's power in that he can like produce a bunch of clay, similar to how Mr. 3 could produce wax. And he's a Golem man, so I guess he's piping it with the tribe. Word up. Okay. He's catching it with the clay goo. We got Tashigi looking cute as usual. Where's Smoker? Where's my man Smoker at? What's he up to if he's not here? We got Helmeppo crying like a baby. Wah! Garp, that bastard. I'll never forgive you, you old fossil. So all these guys are fucked up. So this guy got hit by it, but he's still fine. Like, he's got a bump on his head, but he's mostly okay. A little bit of blood. So I guess maybe there are some strong pirates on this island, but undoubtedly he fucked up the vast majority of them. So, okay. Listen, you snot-nosed pirates. If you so much as blink, you'll end up in a world of pain. So he's like, stay down, boys. I ain't here for you. Alright, so looks like the whole Sword gang is up on this ship right now. And Garp is the Sword leader, apparently. Or at least from, like, his title didn't have Sword in it when he got, like, reintroduced last chapter or whatever. But, like, based on the fact that he's hanging out with all the Sword guys, it seems like he's probably in Sword. That would make a lot of sense, right? Sour says, Oda is my pen pal. Yes, he's mine as well. Every time you do one of these streams, I'm actively DMing Oda to ask questions. Thank you for that. You're the correspondent. You're the dedicated correspondent of the stream, which is a valuable role, a valuable position on the crew. I think this guy was the one they explicitly said was a Logia last chapter. Did they say he was a Logia? I don't remember if it was explicit or not. His powers seem Logia-esque, but it also could just be a Paramecia similar to like Mr. 3's. So time will tell, I suppose. Okay, so Garp's telling them to stay the fuck down. All these guys are fucked up. What a letdown. Talk about frustrating. I've really lost my touch. Oh, so that was just not a big deal. I mean, he basically did like a Whitebeard punch, you know, like a Quake punch, essentially. That's like the type of scale we were talking about there. Like, he fucked up like a big portion of the island with that punch, you know? And everything's on fire in the background. Like, everything's caught on fire now. Yeah, that's interesting. I've really lost my touch is a funny line from him after that display. I think Best Guy Ever was saying that like that attack might be like one of the strongest attacks we've seen in the series up to this point. I still think Whitebeard, you know, Whitebeard's like fucking Quake that destroyed like the entirety of Marineford is probably the strongest thing we've seen. Or like the times he like created like 2 tsunamis or like pulled the world. So, like, it started, like, shaking. I think Whitebeard's, like, AoEs are still, like, the most, like, powerful things we've seen, I'm pretty sure. Kaido and Big Mom's, like, team-up attack where they, like, you know, were gonna, like, wipe out the worst generation, but, like, Zoro blocked it for half a second was also a really strong one. You know, we've seen some pretty strong attacks in our day. Dorian Brogy, you know, cutting that ship in half. I think this is more impressive than that. But yeah, so like this is definitely up there with like one of the most powerful attacks we've seen in the series. Garp's, he's a big, tough boy. He's a scary guy. Sarah Lemon says, casually emits the destructive force of a missile. I really lost my touch, yeah. He's a big dick. He's big dick swinging right now. He's got that dog in him, as we can see here in this panel. Or that dog over him at this point. You've got to be kidding. That wasn't enough destruction for you, old man? So these guys are all fucked up, but they're still alive. So I wonder, like, how many people actually died. Because, like, obviously, some people must have died from that, right? Vice Admiral Garp. Kobe, you don't look too shabby. Damn you, Kobe. I'm so glad you weren't murdered. So we got Helmeppo and Tashigi hanging out, which is interesting. I don't think we've ever seen this kind of particular, like, group of Marines hanging out together. It makes me wonder, like, where's Smoker at? You know, what's Smoker up to, my man? Like, we haven't seen Smoker in so long, since fucking Punk Hazard, when he got his asshole turned inside out by fucking Doflamingo. Although I maintain that Smoker probably would have done better against Dofi if he hadn't just fought Virgo. And, like, he only lost to Virgo because he was, like, spreading himself too thin. Like, he was literally just trying to get Law's... He and Law made an agreement where he's like, Law had separated his heart, or Law had his heart, and he's like, I will give you your heart back if you get my heart back from Virgo. Like, that was the agreement they came to. So Law's first priority wasn't to beat Virgo, it was to, like, get, you know, Law's heart back, so that way Law would then give Smoker his heart back. That was the agreement they came to. Smoker was kind of, you know, overpowering Virgo for a little bit earlier in the fight, but then he started, like, spreading himself too thin. And Virgo specifically mentioned, for those of you who forget this, that, like, hey, what's with this weird strategy? You were doing better before when you weren't, like, you know, all over, you know, clouding up everything, like when you were keeping your body contained. So, like, I'm of the opinion that, you know, Smoker could have beaten Virgo one-on-one. He chose not to because he made an agreement with the Law to get Law's heart back in exchange for his own heart. So that's, you know, but hey, your mileage may vary with that. That's how I interpret that whole thing. And then obviously Dofi blitzed him when he was, like, recovering and shit, and he didn't expect Dofi to just show up there and fuck with him. So I think Smoker gets a bit of a bad rap. And part of it is Oda's fault. Like, Oda kind of, you know, just had him lose, like, 3 times in a row, basically. To, like, Law, Virgo, and then fucking Doflamingo. So, you know, it's not, like... I understand why people, like, are like, damn, Smoker fell off. But, like, I think it's not quite as cut and dry as people make it out to be, with him just being, like, a total jobber now. I think he's still strong. He's still strong. He probably has gotten stronger since last time we saw him as well. So... like, he is someone who has grew stronger pre-time skip. Like, Luffy commented on that. He's like, oh shit, this guy's even better than before, or whatever. Smoker said the same to Luffy, obviously, because he saw Gear second, but was still able to overpower it. So, he's not, like, a Luffy rival anymore. He's not, like, Luffy's, like, kind of, like, someone who could beat Luffy anymore, but he is still, like, a tough dude. I think he deserves more credit than he gets, probably. Sour says, I think we've seen several characters be this destructive at this point. Whitebeard destroying an entire military base, Kaido destroying a castle. I think, yeah, I mean, Kaido literally used his fucking blast breath to literally blow up Odin, like, a mountain, basically. So that's pretty impressive. That's a good point. Sour says, you could technically count Doffy. I mean, the birdcage, I like... the birdcage is so broken, like, I'm not a big power scaler guy, but the birdcage is, like, such a broken ability that, like, I hate to even, like, include it when I start to think about, like, powers that are, like, you know, contenders for, like, the strongest moves in the series, because it basically is the strongest move we've ever seen. You know, it's both, like, it literally contained, like, an Admiral, Zoro, like, 3 of the Akazaya 9, you know, it's just, it's so strong. Like, could it have beaten Kaido? Maybe. Like, we have no reason to think it couldn't at this point. Or could it have contained him at the very least? Maybe. You know, like, we just don't know. Like, the birdcage is so broken, I don't even like to think about it. Because it's like, it's so broken, it basically doesn't make sense with the way things are portrayed. Or the way, like, Doflamingo is portrayed as not being, like, on the level of someone like Kaido and Big Mom. Because, like, has Big Mom done anything that is, like, as powerful as the birdcage, or as, like, all-encompassing as the birdcage? No, she has not. And I mean, Kaido lifted a whole island. That's like kind of in a similar level of like being like, okay, this is like his powers operating at like max capability. But like Dofi is just he was so broken, and it kind of fucked everything up. Like straight up, like Sanji's like the crew that went to Whole Cake Island to rescue Sanji, which was like who kind of split up from the main group in Dressrosa. They literally were more scared of Doflamingo than they were of Big Mom. And frankly, at the time, it seemed like Doflamingo was a bigger threat than what Big Mom ended up being to the crew. Like when she literally was like about to land on the ship, you know, or about to attack the ship, you know. I don't see Brook, Nami, and Chopper and like Momo and Sanji doing as well against Doflamingo as like Jinbei, you know, and that same group of people without Sanji did against Big Mom. You know what I'm saying? And yes, Big Mom wasn't in her right state of mind. If she was, she probably would have killed them like instantly with something. But it's just, you know, like Dofi was like just ridiculously overpowered for like the way they were trying to portray him, or Oda was trying to portray him in the story. Like I think Dofi was handled really strangely. You know, I think he could have been handled much better than he was. Okay, so the biggest difference with Garp's power is that the projection hockey is that it's projecting hockey instead of devil fruits. Yes, devil fruit powers, yep. Birdcage versus Kaido is a very funny thought. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the birdcage could, like, cut Kaido, but, could he escape from it? I don't know. Maybe. If he, like, flexed real hard, maybe he could. But, like, I feel like it would just shrink down. Kaido would just be stuck in it and be like, well, this isn't hurting me, but I'm also, like, confined by a fucking net now. And maybe he'd just, like, flex real hard and get out of it. But, like, I don't think it could kill Kaido. I don't think Oda wants us to believe that. The birdcage was very much, like, a thematic thing. You know, like, it's about how, like, Doflamingo is, like, a control freak, and he wants control. Oh, and, you know, he was robbed of the control that was his birthright, and he decided to, like, take the control over a nation, basically, to make up for that, to, like, kind of, you know, satisfy that part of his ego that was, like, you know, robbed of him, you know, by his father or whatever. So, like, it's like thematically it's fine. It's just like like from like a like narrative like power perspective, like we're supposed to think that Doflamingo isn't as big of a threat as like Big Mom and Kaido, and especially like I feel like Oda was trying to be like when Luffy fought Cracker, I feel like the whole point of that fight was to be like Luffy in Gear 4 was like wiping the floor with Doflamingo. He was like just like a step above him. Like Doflamingo really couldn't do anything when Luffy was in Gear 4. The problem is he couldn't be in Gear 4 for too long, right? That was his only like setback in the Doflamingo fight when he went Gear, like, you know, when he was in Gear 4, he had Doflamingo on the ropes pretty much the whole time. But when Luffy used Gear 4 against like Big Mom's generals, he had a much harder time with them, you know? I think the point was to be like, these guys are even like a step above Doflamingo, but like, I don't know, do I think that the birdcage, or do I think Dofi could beat like Cracker or, what's his name? Katakuri? Probably not, like, cause their powers are just like kind of, I would imagine would be really effective against Doflamingo. Maybe he could beat Cracker, but like, it's just Doflamingo, his powers were just like on such a scale, which I guess is kind of okay, but I feel like the birdcage should have been something that like someone like the Admiral, like Fujitora, should have been able to just like stop it. Or like Zoro, or somebody should have just been able to like cut through it, you know? Like, cause that was what they were literally saying, was like, this thing isn't actually unstoppable, it was man-made, we can stop it. But then the only thing that stopped it was Luffy actually beating Doflamingo. And I get that it was like a big confluence of things, and it was trying to like tie everything to like, you have to beat Doflamingo to solve the problem in Dressrosa. I get that. Like, from a narrative perspective, it's understandable. It's just like, I don't know, it's just a little funky. Like, I've never been a huge fan of, like, I liked Doflamingo up until Dressrosa. And then I was like, okay, maybe I think Oda just could have handled that whole situation so much better. Because Doflamingo was really more like, he felt like someone who was more like of a trickster. And it's not that a trickster can't also be strong. Like, I like the fact that he was stronger than Law, or like at the time at least. You know, Law with his awakening could probably take him on now and maybe beat him, but like at the time, it just seemed like him just having such an edge over Luffy felt a bit weird. Like especially like after Luffy went Gear 4, like when he started whipping out the awakening and turning like buildings into strings, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like this is such bullshit. And like the birdcage is just so fucking broken. It's, yeah. Anyway, fuck Doflamingo. This chapter is not about Doflamingo. Anyway, so okay. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Sour Lemon says Doflamingo just had to not be inside his own birdcage to win. Pretty much. Yeah. Like you're not even wrong. Like that's an accurate statement. Oda is a hack. Sometimes he likes to ignore self-consistency to tell a more interesting or thematically evocative story. Yeah, I mean, look, Dressrosa is a fine arc. Like, it's not one of my favorites by any means. It's probably, like, in my, you know, bottom few, actually. But, like, there's good things in there, and, like, I see what Oda was going for, like, narratively, like, thematically. Like, it's like a good story, like, on its own. It's just, like, when you try to, like, tie it into, like, the way we're sort of meant to think about these characters in relation to the rest of the world, that's when it starts to, like, not make as much sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pika is literally as powerful as, like, anyone we've ever seen. Like, his power is so broken. But anyway, enough about Dressrosa. Let's get going with this chapter. All right, so I've really lost my touch, says Garp. His hand is still black as the day he was born, and you've got to be kidding. That wasn't enough destruction for you, old man. Voice Admiral Garp, damn you, Kobe. I'm so glad you weren't murdered. Okay, so this is cute. Helmeppo and Tashigi, especially Helmeppo, being so happy that Kobe is safe, which is great, because, you know, Kobe and Helmeppo, they're choice bros. We've known this. They've been choice bros basically since Chapter 1. It's good to see them back together. This is cute. Okay, so we got a couple of these Marine sword boys. We got Prince Groose. We got fucking Miss... Thoughty over here, I don't remember her name, and this big lad who I don't think we've been introduced to, but I assume we'll meet him, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe he's not important. He looks cool. I like him. Garp-san sure is a naughty boy running wild like that. If you say so, madame. Oh, she's Suru's niece. I forget her name, though. I can't believe he just called Kobe the future of the Marine. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. Like, that's a pretty big statement. I can't let him get ahead. Yeah, I mean, you are his superior, my bro, so I think you're all good. Plus, your powers are really, really good. I don't see Kobe standing up to you. Say whatever you want behind their backs, but you can't deny their bond is wholesome and cute. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of it. Like, we've seen a lot of the bond between Kobe and Helmeppo, but, like, the bond between Garp and Kobe really hasn't been explored much, so I presume that's what we're gonna get now. But, I mean, who knows? Or maybe we'll see a little bit more of it in this chapter. Kobe! Captain Kobe! Kobe-kun! Okay, so everyone's being cute. Is that you, Tashigi-san? Wow, even non-sword members came? So, non-sword members. He says that. So that's a big deal, right? Like, non-sword members means they're fucking liable for, like, all this fucking damage, right? And, like, the fact that they, you know, attacked an emperor, that's pretty bad news. That makes me wonder, like, who here is a sword member and who isn't? Like, these two are sword. Is Garp sword? I guess we haven't received confirmation of that yet. I mean, Garp's just a badass, you know? Like, part of the reason why I've gotten used to the idea of swords since last chapter, but when I initially... I think if any of you watched my last stream or my last ChipZ Ahoy video on YouTube, you'll know that, like, I was not a huge fan of the idea of, like, sword being kind of like this group that could operate with, like, impunity, I guess, on behalf of the world government. Even though, like, you know, because the world government was basically like, oh yeah, they're like rogue agents. They do whatever they do whatever they want. But, like, luckily, mostly thanks to Sour, who kind of, like, talked me off that ledge last time. Basically, I'm more or less cool with that, and I've talked to a lot more people about it, and it seems to be, like, a much more common thing than I think I initially realized, like, even in the real world, for there to be, like, just, like, agents who are kind of, you know, I guess, like, technically no longer, like, associated or sent in and, like, kind of cannot really be retaliated against because they're operating like sort of on their own merits or whatever. The only reason I didn't like it last time is because it felt like it was sort of taking away from Garp being like that type of guy who isn't afraid to mix it up with like even emperors, because he's just such a badass and is such a maverick and is so gung-ho and like does not give a fuck. And like having a whole group that is defined by sort of like being gung-ho and not giving a fuck is a little weird. But it, like, the more I've come read this chapter and talked to people about it, the more I've like come to terms with this being like, well, Garp has to have like, support, right? Whether Garp is in Sword or not, like, it makes sense that someone, that somebody, there are people in the Marines who are willing to operate in like a gung-ho, fuck the consequences fashion. Like, it's cool, it's overall, it's not a bad thing. And these guys have cool designs. I mean, the guy's hat's kind of weird, but like, I kind of think it's goofy enough that I do kind of like it. So, this girl's design kind of sucks. I mean, she's kind of cute. Like, the bucket hat is something. I remember seeing, like, the camo dress is kind of cringe, but whatever. I do like Kobe's little GF. And apparently some people were saying she has the same dialect as, fucking Admiral Akainu, or Fleet Admiral Akainu now. So it's possible that this might be like Akainu's like daughter or niece, and she's like kind of slowly falling head over heels for a good boy like Kobe, which would be an interesting dynamic. But it's interesting, it would be cool for this to like kind of this, encounter that we're getting here to like lead into some more of us learning about like the dynamics within the Marines, like we already know a little bit about it, but like from, the Paramount War and some of the stuff that came before that. But I feel like there's so much left we still have to learn about them. And like, if the Marines get like the same sort of treatment that like Big Mom's family got, I think we're in for a real fucking treat. I think we're going to get some good shit. Let's see. Sour says, narratively, it seems like Oda is gearing Kobe, Luffy to have the same dynamic as Garp Roger, literally beat for beat, essentially. Potentially. I mean, I don't see Luffy's story ending the same way that Roger's story did, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of why Roger did his whole, my fortune is yours for the taking, but you'll have to find it first. I left everything I own in one piece. I feel like, excuse me. I just feel like Luffy has to accomplish what somebody has to accomplish what, like, Roger set out to inspire people to do, So I don't necessarily, and maybe down the line, Kobe will be the one to bring Luffy in. I feel like it's not going to be quite one for one, though, but we'll see. Sour says, agents who the government can disassociate with to absolve themselves of guilt in any circumstances. Yeah, I mean, like, it is tough, because, like, I would imagine, like, Blackbeard would feel, like, emboldened to retaliate if, like, a thing from the world government attacked him, but also, it's the fucking world government. Blackbeard is not so honor-bound like Whitebeard that he would, like, unless, like, Sword were to, like, capture, like, for instance, like, if Sword were to attack, like, Whitebeard, and they were to capture, like, Thatch, or Marco, or Jozu, or Ace, or somebody, like, we know Whitebeard would fucking pull up on them, regardless of whether they're Sword or not. But with Blackbeard, it's like, it's yet to be seen how devoted he is to his underlings, and whether he would do something like that for his crew. I'm inclined to say probably not. Blackbeard seems like the type of dude who would, like, be sad about losing an ally, but would be willing to cut his losses, because he's like, you know what? It's not worth, like, losing more of our forces or putting our forces at risk. Like, Blackbeard is always playing the long game, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's always, prepping for, like, the next big thing. So I don't think that's how he would go about things, but who knows? Ishmael says, just finished up the chapter, ending's a doozy. Ooh, looking forward to it, my man. Looking forward to it. Sour says, an organization like Sword is a convenience thing. The government can either use them as a scapegoat or as an excuse to exact vengeance. Yeah. I'm with you, dude. It makes sense. You've made a good case for it, so appreciate that. Oh, fuck. Okay, so I just scrolled down a little bit, and I've already seen some shit. Wow, even non-Sword members came. Vice Admiral Kobe Senpai ain't safe yet. Vice Admiral Kobe Senpai ain't safe yet. I guess this is her dialect, her special southern dialect, similar to Akainu. So apparently, okay, so I was actually chatting with some people, and apparently someone wrote like a fan comic about Akainu's daughter, and this is like way before any of these like most recent chapters came out, about Akainu's daughter like falling in love with Kobe, basically, and that being like a big like kind of like a basically like kind of like a one of those like sort of like, you know, like romance type of manga type of thing where like people are like in school and like high school and they fall in love or whatever. It makes me wonder, like, is Oda taking inspiration from this fan comic, you know? Also, one thing I want to know, I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently these characters, like Groose and a bunch of these other sword guys, were introduced initially not in the pages of the manga proper, like we got them in Eggheads at some point, like when Garp came to pick up Helmeppo and the gang for this mission. But they were actually introduced in Beija's cover story. They're the guys who beat up Gotti and kidnapped Lola. And to rescue Lola, Gotti had to like, he got his ass beat by Prince Groose, but he kept going back, and he was like such a tough lad, and like that's actually where we saw these guys first. They arrested Lola, or captured Lola, and then my man Gotti from the fucking Fire Tank Pirates, you know, kept getting bodied, but was such like a resilient boy that he was able to get her out of there and marry her. And it's really cute, and it's fun to see these guys back in the story now. So anyone who just missed that connection, that's what we got here. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Pretty cool that Oda kind of like gave them a little introduction and showed how strong they were by letting them beat like Capone's like left-hand man, basically. So that's pretty cool. I mean, is Gotti like the first mate, or is he like kind of like the... It's either Gotti or Vito. I always assumed Vito was the first mate, and Gotti was kind of like the Sanji of the group. Like, you know, the third strongest, like the third, you know, guy in charge. Anyway, Vice Admiral Kobe-senpai ain't safe yet. If he keeps running with that shackle on, he'll wind up dead. Oh, fuck. Immediately frozen. Please help! And then she's frozen solid. Holy shit. They're about to get fucked up. And Garp actually sees it coming. And is like, aw, shit. Okay, here we go. Hibari-san! She's frozen fucking solid. Hibari! And they're freaking out. Garp looks on and sees his boy, Kuzan. Kuzan-san! What are you doing? Please hurry and unfreeze Hibari-san. Yeah, it's Aokiji. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for Captain Kuzan. Show him, Kuzan-chan. It'd be a bad look if Kobe escapes while Teach is away. So, okay, so maybe Garp versus Kuzan? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, dude. Wow. That's a pretty... I mean, I don't know. I still think that Kuzan might be a member of Sword himself. Like, kind of similar... Like, in a deep undercover mission, similar to fucking... what's his name? To Drake. To the way Drake was like kind of undercover within Kaido's troops. I could see, I've always thought that Kuzan is probably doing, like playing, you know, a bit of like 4D chess. Like he's infiltrated Blackbeard's crew to like get intel for maybe not Akainu himself, but like the good Marines that he trusts. Like fucking Garp, we've already established that Garp and Kuzan are buddies. Like Kuzan and Garp were hanging out during like Water 7, you know? In Enies Lobby and stuff. So, and apparently Kuzan owes Garp a debt, which is why he didn't kill Luffy back in Long Ring Logland. So there's definitely like a history between these two. They have some, you know, they were buddies. And Kuzan apparently, even in that like chapter 0, which was like kind of a lead into the Golden Lion Shiki movie, which I think is Film Gold, maybe? I forget which film that is, but Kuzan in the past, when he was just like a lowly vice admiral, used to look up, or maybe when he was like a captain or like a rear admiral, he used to look up to like Vice Admiral Garp and was like, Garp, like, sign my autograph, sir. Like, you know, you're such a badass, Garp. Wow, you're so cool. Like, you know, like he was just like, you know, a fucking fanboy back in the day. So these guys have like already, we know these guys have like an, you know, an established relationship, and like you could even maybe argue that Aokiji was kind of like, maybe not like a mentee to Garp, but like they definitely like, you know, have a friendship. You know, there's like they were friendly in the past. So this is interesting. I wonder where this will go. I presume they're going to be able to get Kobe out of there, or maybe Garp will exchange himself for Kobe. Something like that's going to happen, I feel like. Because I think Garp is not going to exit this encounter unscathed. I imagine that someone is going to fuck him up. Whether it's Blackbeard, Kuzan, who knows. But maybe Garp will trade himself for Kobe's life. That's a possibility. 2 years ago, Akainu and Aokiji had a fierce duel over the Fleet Admiral position. Roughly a year after that, on a certain island in the New World. Oh shit! Whoa! What the? Okay, so we're getting a flashback to this stuff that's going on. Whoa! What the hell happened? Forget that. It's Blackbeard. Let's get the hell out of here. So so this is an island somewhere. This looks like Winter Island, the island where Law fought Blackbeard. Kya! Or Gya! These people are freaking out. There's no point asking who did it. There's only one person on the sinking planet capable of this. There you are, Aokiji. So Aokiji's at a bar. He's drinking. He's chilling. And he froze San Juan Wolf. Wow, okay, look at that. So this is 2 years ago. Akainu and Aokiji had a fierce duel over the Fleet Admiral position. Roughly a year, okay, so this was a year later. A year after that fierce duel, which I presume happened on Punk Hazard. We know that the reason Punk Hazard is like fucked up and has like 2 different climates was because Aokiji and Akainu had their fight on that island. Like it was quarantined off and like used as like a stage for that duel. And after like 10 days of fighting, Akainu emerged the victor. And Aokiji lost limbs that he now compensates for by like, similar to the way Prospero does, by like creating like an ice arm, the way Prospero creates like a candy arm. So pretty interesting stuff. One thing that we didn't know, or no, something else that we knew about this was that at some point along the lines, like that happened presumably like right after the time skip started. So like 2 years ago, whatever it was, like after Luffy started training with Rayleigh, but not long after that, right around that time, because we know that Sengoku resigned from his position, recommended Aokiji as the fleet admiral, but presumably the 5 elders or Eam were like, no, we want Akainu. We think he's the best for the job, and they had them fight to determine who was gonna get it. It's pretty cutthroat. That's like a very like gladiatorial thing for the world government to do. Like it wasn't about like whose grades were better. It wasn't about who was like, I don't know. It's interesting that they made them fight to might made right in that situation and decided the future of the Marines as an organization. So pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so. Getting back to the chapter here. So Blackbeard freaking out, yelling, "There you are, Aokiji." So he's pissed off. Because this island that apparently Blackbeard must have been like docked at or controlled in some way. "Why do you have to freeze all my buddies out there? You better undo it." "Man, you're loud. I think twice about using your quake powers. You'll shatter those buddies of yours." Oh, fuck. This is basically like Aokiji, I like calling him Aokiji. I know, like, technically that's just like his title, like Blue Pheasant or whatever. That's what Aokiji means. His name is actually Kuzan. I don't know what his full name is. Like, I don't know what his like if Kuzan is his surname or if it's his like first name or what. But I like calling him Aokiji. So if I do that, just know that that's like, it might be technically a mistake because he's no longer technically, from what we know at least, part of the Marines. I still think he is. But, if I call him that, sue me. Okay. So he's basically made these guys hostages and crippled Teach by doing so. He's basically like, you can't use your quake powers because if you do, you'll fuck up your own guys. You'll kill them all. That's pretty badass. Like, Aokiji has always been, like, one of my favorite, like, characters in the series because he's always, like, been kind of like a not morally gray. He is a good dude who works for, like, a corrupt organization, and he tries his best to sort of, like, limit the damage that they do, or like use his best judgment in order to, you know, like carry out his tasks. Like he will, you know, like with O'Hara, he decided to let Robin go, and apparently also allowed Saul to live, you know, however he might have done that. Whether he meant to do that or not, he allowed it. He didn't inflict a finishing blow on Saul. He let Saul fall. He might have known he would have lived, or at very least, whether he knew or not, like, he could have done more to, like, make sure Saul was dead. And he chose not to. So, like, it's interesting that we're getting more about Kuzan now. I'm kind of loving it, because, like, I've been waiting to see what's been going on with this guy. Like I said, the way he kind of, like, once Robin kind of, like, found her group of people and, like, you know, like her, you know, found her, like, a new family with the Straw Hats, he was like, listen, I was charged to take you in, but, like, at the end of the day, Saul was my friend, and he wanted you to live and, like, find your new family, and you did that. So, like, who would I be to, like, step on his dreams? You know, you seem like you're not going to use your knowledge for the, you know, to destroy the world. That doesn't seem like what you're planning to do. So I'm just going to let you go. And, like, I don't know. Like, he's always been kind of, like, anti-Akainu. Like, I've always really liked Aokiji. Like, he is, like, I don't know. He's just, like, he's a very complex guy. Like, not super complex, but, like, he's a complex dude with, like, a lot of layers to him. Like, he's duty-bound in some ways, like, because obviously he wants to, like, protect the world from pirates, and he's, like, willing to help people, and, like, Luffy even identified, like, he's that Aokiji was a good dude who was, like, an honorable guy, and, like, would not attack his crew, which is why he was willing to challenge him to a duel. He's like, if we fight one-on-one, win or lose, like, you'll be honor-bound not to go after my crew, right? So, like, you know, Luffy pegged this guy as, like, a well-meaning individual, like, right off the bat. And, like, we just know that he is. And he's, you know, he's a badass. He's cold as fuck. He's, like, one of the coolest designs in the series. Like, he just looks so fucking cool. And he's always dripped the fuck out. Like, especially, like, some people's post-time skip design is worse than their pre-time skip design. Case in point, Smoker, who we were talking about earlier, who got, like, a fucking young man's haircut when he didn't need to. Like, he just looked better pre-time skip, you know? Kobe looks okay. Helmeppo is kind of over-designed now. Like, I like their late pre-time skip designs when we saw them then. Kobe looks fine now. He's okay. But Aokiji is one of those guys who upped his game. His drip is off the hook, you know? He's a cool motherfucker. And, like, the fact that he's even, like, threatening a Yonko, and to be fair, if this was a year ago, maybe Blackbeard only just became a Yonko, you know? Because we know that he only became a Yonko, like, after the payback war with Marco and the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates. So who knows? This might be before that, this might be after that. We know that took place about a year before the current story, like midway through the time skip. This is also taking place about midway through the time skip. It's too early to tell, but this is interesting. Maybe we'll find out more. You know how your men are. You know how your men are. You're their captain, right? You really think I'm the one who picked this fight? Besides, you must have heard what happened. I'm pretty heartbroken right now. And guess who's to blame for my foul mood? Zahahaha! You're one crazy son of a bitch, Ice Pop. Dahaha! Or dahaha! Look who's talking. So now they're just having drinks together and, you know, palling around, and it looks like he unfroze everybody, which is cool. And I like San Juan Wolf, his big funny face as he's eating, like, that giant fucking fish that he caught, I guess. Wish we had more booze here. Okay, so he's just chilling with the Blackbeard boys, even, like, right after he fucked all of them to hell. So what did that Akainu prick say after that? Oh, so they're talking shit about Akainu? That's great. I actually love this. To think we came up together and now we gotta kill each other. It makes my blood boil. Then I said, that'll be the magma. Yeah. Okay, so he's trying to fit in. This is cute. This is really good. I like this a lot. To think we came up together and now we gotta kill each other. It makes my blood boil. Then I said, that'll be the magma. That's pretty fun. Or that would be the magma is probably more closer representation. So yeah, it looks like the whole crew's here. I don't know, like, this is not Full Lead Island, so I wonder where they are. As you can see, I'm down a leg thanks to him. Oh, fuck. So he just cracked his leg off. I have to use my ice to replace it. Yeah, you Admiral sure don't fool around. What about Akainu? Did you tear off an arm? Nah, but I'm pretty sure he's... I'm sure he's pretty banged up all over. Yeah, I mean, so Akainu's always had this scar post-time skip, and I've always wondered, was this scar from his fight with Aokiji, or was it from when Whitebeard fucking cracked his face in half with that, like, strongest punch in the world, and did Oda just, like, not reflect it? Similar to the way Oda didn't reflect Luffy's scar on his chest that came from Akainu until post-time skip, you know, like, and yes, Luffy was bandaged, Akainu wasn't bandaged, but I just presumed that, like, the reason we didn't see, like, a scar from Whitebeard, like, on fucking Akainu's face was because he didn't, you know, like, Oda just didn't, like, he had to take into account post-time skip design, so it was a bit of a retcon, very minor one, but a lot of people are saying, no, it's probably from Aokiji. At this point, jury's still out as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm sure, you know, Akainu definitely has some scars from his fight with Aokiji, but who's to say which ones? Strong World is the Shiki movie. Thank you, Sour. Sour says, it's on Netflix now alongside Film Z. I rewatched them recently. Pretty good movies, I must say. Yeah, I want to watch Film Red. I want to watch Film Red, and I want to watch the one... like the one by that, like, one acclaimed director who did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. That's apparently a pretty good one. And maybe some of, like, the other early One Piece movies, you know? Like, I watched Film Z. I didn't really like it very much. Like, I thought it was kind of just, like... It was just a bit of hype piece, you know? It's, like, not super consequential. I've never been a fan of the movies because, like, they are just, like, super non-consequential and don't actually mean anything and are just, like, basically, you know, uninteresting filler meant to kind of, you know, appeal to... like, sort of like the Dragon Ball fans who kind of started reading One Piece because Dragon Ball was bad. You know, they realized Dragon Ball was kind of lame, but still wanted something to power scale, you know? I've never been a huge fan of the movies, and the one I remember the most that I've seen was Z, and it just didn't do anything for me. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd like Strong World. Maybe I would. I liked the chapter with Shiki in it, but it's just the fact that none of it's, like, canon at all. Or means anything, you know, like, I don't know, like, Red seems interesting because of, like, the musical stuff and because Uta isn't, like, a typical antagonist, but, I don't know, I like the one that has, like, the cool animation and, like, the weird, like, islands, the one made by the director of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, like, that's the one that interests me the most, that I actually would want to watch. Shiki was actually far stronger and much more of a badass than I remembered. Literally low-diffing the entire Straw Hat crew until he was tricked into flying into a cyclone. Wow, that's interesting. Red was the most fun of the movies I've seen. Okay, that's good to know. Like I said, I'll have to check him out at some point. Speaking of it, because this is actually, I gotta say, this is a really cute encounter. Like, it's fun to see the Blackbeard crew just, like, partying down. Like, we don't even see the Straw Hat crew do this very often. Like, just have, like, fun interactions and, like, party together. This is adorable and, like, really funny. And, like, I like seeing Aokiji, like, trying to, like, win them over by, like, making jokes. And, like, them just being into it. And, like, deciding that they're willing to, like, party with this guy who, like, used to be a Marine. And they're like, you know what? This guy's kind of fucking cool. We kind of like him. So, I don't know. This is a really... cute interaction, and I love seeing the Blackbeard boys just be like buddies and have a good time. Speaking of injuries, Commodore, do you reckon this guy has info on the man marked by flames? Oh, we've heard about this guy. So before we get into who the man marked by flames is, if they do start to talk about that this chapter, I think it's probably because we know the man marked by flames. The first time we heard that name was when Kid mentioned him at the end of Wano. And they mentioned him in regards to poneglyphs, that he might be able to help either find the final poneglyph or help interpret the poneglyphs that the Kid Pirates had gotten from Wano. So they had a lead about the man marked by flames. So now that we've learned more that, like, Saul's alive and that the knowledge of Ohara, all those books were, like, fished out of that fucking river after they got thrown out of the tree that got burned down on Ohara, I've been thinking that the man marked by flames is most likely Saul. Better call Jaguar D. Saul. So, if you want to get to Raftel, if you want to learn the true history of the world, better call Saul. Is all I gotta say. But yeah, I still think that's probably the case, which would make Aokiji an interesting point of contact for these guys, because he would know, like, him and Saul were friends, and he presumably, at very least, like, didn't finish off Saul, possibly let him escape or let him live, you know, maybe even got rid of the ice on his person. So it's definitely an interesting thing that they're bringing this up around this guy in particular. There are 4 super valuable red poneglyphs out there. So these guys know about the red poneglyphs. That's cool. It makes sense. Kaido and Big Mom apparently have 1 each. That means 2 of them are up for grabs. But there's no knowing where they are. We heard a rumor that the man marked by flames has 1. I do. Whoa. Not you. You only got that scar recently. Glug glug glug. That's a weird laugh. Glug glug. So this guy's a fucking creep and a weirdo. Oh, it is said that man... Okay, so we got Lafitte, we got Burgess, we got Blackbeard, we got Shiryu of the Rain. So this is interesting. Like, when he froze everyone, did he freeze like Shiryu? No. He definitely didn't freeze Shiryu. But he did freeze... We can see who he froze. So he froze Vasco Shot, who's right here with the big nose. He froze Doc Q. And obviously he froze Big San Juan Wolf over here. Pretty easy to see that. But Blackbeard's here. Fucking Von Augur is unfrozen. And my girl, what's her name? Katarina Devon was not frozen either. So maybe they arrived later and saw the devastation that my boy Aokiji, aka Kuzan, wrought in his wake. So, interesting. Oh, it is said the man can be found on a pitch black ship. Oh, that's interesting. That's a new one. And if anyone sails near, they end up swallowed by giant whirlpools. He may very well have a fruit power. Interesting. Okay, so maybe it isn't fucking Saul, because we know Saul is like, he created a new library on Elbaf. At least that's what we heard from our boy, what's his name, Vegapunk. So, interesting. Sour says, Gold was pretty fun too, but it was also kind of dumb and whack. Yeah, that's what I've heard. But, you know, I might check them out at some point down the line. We'll see. Ugh, so, Shiryu says, I bet he's with the government. We all know there are hardly angels. It wouldn't be surprised if they kept a stone or 2 for themselves. That's interesting. Interesting theory from Shiryu here. I never considered it would be like someone affiliated with the government, but I suppose it's possible. It'd be a surefire way to prevent any pirate from ever claiming the One Piece. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. The Poneglyphs hold nothing but bitter memories for me. Yeah, I mean, you know, Ohara, that's a good point. I don't remember seeing any giant garish red stone at Ohara. What I do remember is a dear friend taking a stand against the government. And the traumatized eyes of a little girl that forced me to take fate into my own hands. What's with the sob story? So Burgess is just making fun of him. Commodore, what do you want to do? So now Lafitte and Commodore are talking. I've always thought Lafitte was an interesting guy. He's kind of a more sneaky, you know? He's kind of like the Brook of this group, or maybe like the Robin. Like the fact that he can just, or maybe even this like classic Mr. Prince Sanji. Like he would just, the fact that he could show up in Mary Joyce, for instance, and talk with like, you know, that council that they came up with during the Jaya arc is like pretty cool. It's always made him feel like more of a schemer and like more of like kind of like a background player. Like I feel like he could end up being Sanji's opponent, because all of the Blackbeard Pirates feel like they match up with the Straw Hats pretty well, except for maybe Aokiji. So like I could see him being like a Sanji fight potentially down the line, but we'll see. Commodore, what do you want to do? His power could be quite useful. Should we steal it? Oh, fuck. So he caught wind of that. I can hear you, asshole. I'll send you all back to the Ice Age. Wah, I heard you were hunting devil fruits. Bring it on. Hang on, Kuzan. My pal's just being an idiot. I wasn't planning on doing that. In fact, how would you like to join our crew? Oh, fuck. He already froze Vasco Shot and fucking, the king guy. This is pretty funny. This is like a bar fight, almost. I can hear you, asshole. I'll send you all back. I kind of love the way this encounter is playing out. Blackbeard's sweating. He obviously doesn't want to have to fight this guy if he doesn't have to. My pal's just been an idiot. I wasn't planning on doing that. In fact, how would you like to join our crew? Captain, are you nuts? You're basically out of a job, right? Got any other prospects? The Guardians of Justice dumped you, so what's next? You know, I live by a different definition of justice. Don't be a moron. You can't think a couple of drinks is enough to win me over. Hey. You've got pirates all wrong. We ain't just a merry band of chums bumming around together. Okay. This is it. I've always wanted to know, like, what led to this union, you know? Between Aokiji and the Blackbeard Pirates. This is interesting. This is really interesting. We all profit from having our own agendas. That's what makes us pirates. You're free now, so what do you want to do? So this is pretty cool. It's like it's always interesting to see someone besides Luffy win someone over to his side. You know, like we've seen it. Like we've seen a couple characters. Like we saw Law, basically convince what's his name, that one guy, that one like giant dude from the auction house, whose name I totally forget. He's a jobber. Like he's not that important. I think his name is I forget. It's the big funky demon looking guy. Like we've seen Law win that guy over to his crew by like releasing him, and we've seen Blackbeard get Shiryu and a bunch of people from Impel Down on his side. Specifically Shiryu, though. We saw that interaction and how it went. You know, but it's always interesting when like someone who isn't Luffy tries to recruit somebody. Like I love seeing Shanks try to like be like, hey Marco, you want to join my crew? And Marco's like, fuck off. Like when Shanks first went to talk to Whitebeard. And it was also awesome to see like Big Mom talk to King and be like, yo, like we don't have any Lunarians on our crew, on the Big Mom Pirates. You're a rare race. You want to join up with us? And he's like, fuck no. You know, so it's always interesting to see like these big pirate crews like Blackbeard and like other, you know, pirates with like strong wills and like strong spirits, like kind of win people over to their side. It's cool. It's neat to see it happen with characters who aren't Luffy. So we're back here again. Oh fuck. So we're still on this fucking island. Holy shit. You'd better okay, so here we got Kuzan. Hey Kuzan, you'd better unfreeze Hibari. Let us take Kobe and get your ass back in uniform. So he actually threatens him. He's like, yo, you better join up with the Marines again, buddy, because I'm going to fuck you up. You're as direct as ever, Garp-son. I've always loved that about you. Oh, these former lovers, man. Absolutely beautiful. No, we know he looked up to Garp when he was a younger Marine, so it's not surprising that this happens. And that's why I'm not going to do any of those things. I've decided to live my life on my own terms. 10th captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, Kuzan. Wow. So he freezes Garp. Ice Ball. Your number one protege versus your new favorite. Oh, so interesting. So he's calling Kuzan so Kuzan is calling himself Garp's number one protege. That's interesting. That's pretty interesting. That's neat. Versus your new favorite, who's Kobe. Can you kill one to save the other? You can't stop me like that, you dumbass. I thought I taught you to live in the now. Crack! It's not working. Listen up, Kuzan. Only weaklings lose their way. And then he fucking, like, Garp fucking face palms his ass. He's about to fucking body slam him into the ground. Jesus Christ. Okay. I mean, either Kuzan is throwing the fight. Listen up, Kuzan. Only weaklings lose their way. I mean, I don't know if he lost his way, but holy fuck. I didn't realize Garp had it like that. Because back when Garp like threatened to kill Akainu, a lot of people, me included, were like, I think he's not bluffing, but he's talking from an emotional place, and like he was like holding me down, what's it, Sengoku, or I'm gonna kill that that red dog, So, I still don't know if Garp could beat Akainu, but holy fuck. If this is a real encounter, I still think Kuzan might be throwing the fight here. But if this is real, yeah, my man Akainu would have been in deep shit if Sengoku didn't hold him down. Because holy shit. Fucking face palms a former admiral, lose their way, and Blue Hole sends him down like gravity. Like, what's his name's gravity power? Jesus Christ. Blue Hole sends him into the fucking earth. Like, absolutely body slams this man. God damn, dude. Like, it reminds me of Fujitora's, like, gravity power. Like, that's what this looks like. Just fucking sends him packing. Winter Island, New World. Okay, so... Okay. About to get Law's defeats on camera. Interesting. Winter Island, New World. So Blackbeard, he got a little scuffed up. He's got a little blood. I mean, we know Blackbeard is not the most, like... He's no Shanks. He's not gonna, like, one-shot... Like, Blackbeard is known for, like, underestimating his opponents and, like, kind of letting himself get fucked up a lot of the time. But we all knew, at least I was saying this whole time, Law... I saw some people on Twitter coping, like, oh, kids, such a fucking bitch, Law would never get beat by, a fucking Yonko so easily. Case in point, bitches. Case in point. Get fucked. Your favorite is a fucking, a fucking fraud. And if you actually thought he was going to be able to escape this scenario, you're a fucking moron. No, like, there was no way. There was absolutely no way that Law was going to be able to get out of this situation, unscathed. He was going to get fucked up. And as we see, he did. Winter Island, New World. So we see my boy's hat on the ground, just like we saw Ace's hat on the ground back in the day. It's over. It's over. The Polar Tang, the Heart Pirate submarine, is currently sinking to the ocean floor, torn to pieces. Yep. And we got John Bart is the guy whose name I was thinking of. Jean Bart. Yep. This is the expected outcome. This is what we all thought would happen. No surprises here, bitches. This is it. This is, the ship has been torn asunder because Blackbeard can literally just punch the air and make a quake and blow it up, because that's what he does. Without a ship, you can't even call yourselves pirates anymore, let alone escape. Oh, fuck. So we got fucking Law, we got my boy Beppo. Is Beppo gonna do something? So Law's fucking, he's either down for the count or he's like breathing heavily. The owners of the 100 hearts you stole at Rocky Port are still living on Pirate Island. I bet they'll be thrilled if I bring them your heart. We'll have a toast. So Blackbeard's saying, like, that's interesting. So the owners of the 100 hearts you stole, we're learning more about the Rocky Port incident. It's like slowly but surely being revealed. So what do we know about Rocky Port, right? We know that Law was the mastermind behind Rocky Port. We don't know exactly where Rocky Port is, but it seems like more and more likely that Rocky Port is actually on Pirate Islands, but it's hard to say yet. But we know that Law was the mastermind. Kobe, was dubbed a hero for protecting civilians during the Rocky Port incident. We knew that Blackbeard used the chaos around the Rocky Port incident to make a move on Pirate Island. Basically, he used the chaos that was caused by the incident to basically defeat Ochoku, who was apparently like a former member of the Rocks Pirates and the former ruler of Hachinosu. So Blackbeard like used the chaos that Law's plan enacted in order to basically, maybe, and like what I always thought happened based on that information was that Rocky Port was on an island near Hachinosu, but was controlled maybe by Ochoku, or maybe Ochoku controlled like the underground there. And because of that, all of the pirates from Pirate Island were sent to Hachinosu, or were sent to Rocky Port in order to, like basically defend their keep. But because of that, this is just my interpretation, and obviously maybe what we're getting right now could potentially be confirmation that my interpretation is wrong. But my interpretation up to this point is basically like, Rocky Port, some shit happened there, Law was involved, he used it as an opportunity to become a warlord by stealing 100 hearts of 100 pirates. And basically, all the pirates that went to attack Rocky Port from Hachinosu, that Law fucked up, and basically Kobe was like there to protect, civilians and save civilians from like, the fucking pirate raid or whatever the fuck was going on there. Blackbeard used the fact that Fuloled had been emptied because all the pirates on Fuloled were sent to Rocky Port presumably by Ochoku, and Blackbeard used that as an opportunity to attack Hachinosu and Ochoku while, the majority of Ochoku's forces were away, and used that as like the golden opportunity to strike and win that pirate island for his own crew. So that was always my interpretation. Akame 200017 says, what was similar in this chapter? Oh, replying to Sour Lemons, once again, the similarities between Luffy and Blackbeard are excellent. I think, Akame, I think what he's referring to there is that, just the fact that Blackbeard is, like, having a good time with his crew, and, like, just, like, having a good time with Aokiji, and the fact that he then was like, no, let's not, like, fight. Like, why don't you join our crew instead? Like, that's just, it's a bit Luffy-like, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? The crew have their own goals, but work together. Yeah, exactly. That's the type of thing. And it's cool. It's cool to see. Okay, so, excuse me. All right, let's wrap this sucker up. The owners of the 100 hearts you stole at Rocky Port are still living on Pirate Island. So, as we know, Law's power to remove people's hearts doesn't necessarily mean that they're dead. They just don't have their hearts in their chest anymore. So, if they were given to the government as a present, the government could just squeeze those hearts to fuck with those pirates if they want to. But apparently, they haven't yet. So, maybe they're using it as leverage. Who knows? Akame says, oh, okay, I see. Star Lemon says, Blackbeard has more nefarious intentions, but as pirates, they have very similar credo. Yeah, they definitely have like a similar style, like Luffy and Blackbeard, just in terms of the way they approach their crew, they approach their dreams, and their approach, like, recruiting more people to their side, They have similar charisma. Blackbeard is just clearly, like, more nefarious and more fucked up and willing to do some fucked up, underhanded shit, which is awesome. And what makes him such a cool character in the One Piece world, If I bring him your heart, we'll have a toast. That's pretty good. You really made these. I can't guarantee it'll work, okay? Huh, so Beppo is having internal monologue about something Chopper gave him. Did Chopper give Beppo a fucking rumble ball? I mean, who fucking knows, man? And is Law still conscious? Now what should we do with the Ope fruit? Sell or use it? Don't suppose you'd fancy making me immortal? Oh yeah, so he knows about that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, obviously Blackbeard fucked this guy up. Sell or use? I mean, they should use it. It's super good. Keep your paws off the captain. So he fucking, did he eat a rumble ball? Holy fuck. Or is this his Sulong? So maybe, wait, did Chopper make Beppo a thing that, like, gets him to go Sulong even when it's not a full moon? Holy fuck. So off the cap, so he knocks, Gua, wacha! So he knocks back both. Wow, so we're actually seeing Beppo Sulong. That's kind of cool. So this is like Beppo's, like, ace in the hole, basically. He's using his, like, ultimate trump card here. To basically give Law a chance to escape, really. Gua! So, attacks Blackbeard and Von Augur and seems to hit them. Huh? Did he go Sulong? No way, there's no moon. Arg! So he fucking throws a big rock at them and kind of fucks them up a little bit. Winter Island, New World. Crap, they're escaping by sea. So maybe fucking Law will escape with, or Beppo will escape with Law. Fuck. On this day, the Heart Pirates, huff huff. Go back, Beppo. Huff huff, we can't abandon our crew. We can't go back, but trust them, Captain. From the freezing ports of the north till now, we always survive. None of us will let it end here. Wow. We've overcome so much together. So don't you dare die, Captain. Please don't die. Led by Trafalgar Law. So on this day, the Heart Pirates, led by Trafalgar Law, were soundly defeated. So, interesting. So Beppo was able to escape with Law using a fucking, like, a last-ditch effort. And honestly, that was the only way Law was going to survive. And, like, kind of cool moment for Beppo, you know? It's cool to see Beppo, kind of like Law's right hand, actually do something pretty fucking dope and, like, kind of fuck up Blackbeard a little bit. You know, obviously, like, it was just a quick, you know, trump card. But, yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. So, okay, how do I feel about this, right? Like, I was kind of hoping that... It's surprising to me that Blackbeard would even get fucked up even a little bit by someone like Beppo, Sulong or not, you know? Beppo Sulong form looks really cool, don't get me wrong. And it's cool that Beppo did something cool for once in the series. But at the same time, I gotta say, like, the thing that bothers me about this is, like, why did Kid get, like, the worst treatment imaginable? And Law got, like, this soft treatment where he just gets to escape. Like, to live to fight another day. Is he going to join up with the Straw Hats? Like, what's going to happen? Are they going to go on a rescue mission to save the rest of the crew? Who knows? Like, all I can say is, like, if Kid doesn't come back in Elbaf in some capacity, fuck you, Oda. Fuck you. Like, how dare you choose favorites? That's all I gotta say. Like, there is no reason Law should escape. And the only reason Law is escaping is because he's Oda's fucking little pussy bitch baby boy that all of the fucking ladies love. He's like the fucking, you know, one of the most popular characters, so Oda's like, we can't kill him off yet. Fuck off, Oda, you fucking hack-ass bitch. Like, fuck you. Fuck that shit. That's so fucking stupid. Like, I will say this. If Kid comes back in Elbaf and, like, is a part of the arc and does some cool shit, or is involved, like, is able to, like, maybe Kid and Killer, like, survive getting fucked up, even if the rest of his crew is absolutely decimated, like, I won't call foul, but, like, nah. Like, the fact that, like, Law gets, like, the fucking baby treatment compared to fucking, you know, Kid and his crew, give me a fucking break, dude. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the, and, like, he even hurt, and, like, both Beppo and fucking Law were able to hurt Blackbeard. I get that Blackbeard and his boys are, like, notoriously, like, clumsy and, like, oftentimes, like, let their guard down when they shouldn't. Like, I get that that's the difference between them and Shanks. I really do. Like, I'm not trying to, I don't know, it's just the difference in treatment between Law and Kid that, like, really fucking bothers me right now. Because, like, we've seen so much of this Law motherfucker. I am so over it. Like, I would not have given a fuck if Blackbeard had given his powers to someone on his crew. Because we've seen enough of him. He's not going to be Pirate King. There's no reason why he should be surviving right now. Kid, I feel like there was more to learn. You know, there was more to him that we didn't get to see. He deserved, like, maybe not, like, the amount of shit Law got in Dressrosa and Punk Hazard, but, like, he had the opportunity to get, like, it would have been more interesting to get more screen time for Kid than it is to get more screen time for Law. That's all I'm saying. Like, and I just think it's, like, obviously Oda could still bring Kid back in some way and make him involved in Elbaf and make him do some cool shit. It just feels fucking, like, in the moments, this feels like, you know, he's using, like, he's put on, like, you know, plastic gloves to handle Law. But, like, with Kid, he was just like, I'm gonna fucking, you know, I'm gonna treat him like I don't give a fuck about him, because apparently Oda doesn't give a fuck about him. At least that's like the difference in the treatment here, and it feels weird, you know? Like, Killer and Kid get taken out by one attack from Shanks. Killer doesn't even get to do something cool like this for Kid. He doesn't get to, like, save Kid after Kid gets knocked out, or pull, like, a cool Zoro moment where he's like, you know, I'll give you my life if you spare my crew. He doesn't get any shit like that. They just both get taken out by one attack. this pisses me the fuck off. I'm not even gonna front. Like, this is some bullshit. This is some fucking bullshit. Oda, you fucking cunt. Like, I don't know what else to say. What a fucking piece of shit. Gotta fucking suck Law's dick some more, right? God damn. Fuck. Oda, why did you do this? Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, guys, I was loving the chapter with Kuzan and the Blackbeard boys up until this fucking Law cringe, but it's still a good chapter. Like, don't get me wrong, like, Beppo doing something finally is cool. Like, him proving it, like, earning his spot as a, like, first mate is dope. Like, that's a good moment for him, and I'm glad he got to do something cool. But it's at the expense of, like, so many other characters who deserved so much better. You know, like, both Law and Van Arger just getting, like, fucking smacked. Like, I don't know. Like, that feels like a bit much, right? Like, Blackbeard just getting sent on his ass. Like, I guess it's okay. Like, this guy is essentially, like, the second in command of Law's crew. Like, I don't know, man. It just, like, I don't know. Just the difference in treatment just really bothers me. Like, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. I want Chopper to go Sulong. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. Law continues to get better treatment from Kid, or than Kid. Yeah, he sure does, baby. He sure does. Law, Oda's favorite baby boy that he's just gonna fucking, oh, Kid, do you guys, like, or it's literally like, the way Oda treats Kid versus the way Oda treats Law is like, Law's like, Law falls off his bike, and gets a boo-boo, and Oda's like, oh, don't worry, buddy, I'm gonna, put on some, like, fucking iodine, I'm gonna put on some Neosporin, I'm gonna wrap you up, I'm gonna take good care of you, let me give you a kiss, and then with Kid, it's like, gloves off, it's like, Kid got in a car accident, and like, and then Otis just looks at him as like, what, you want a fucking tissue? What do you want me to do about it? Fucking bitch, get out of here. Like, the clear favoritism, when like both of these guys were supposed to be like the rivals, kind of, like the Luffy's contemporaries, specifically Law and Kid. And Law already has had so many opportunities to be to get characterization and to do interesting stuff in the narrative. And now he's just getting more. Because Oda can't help himself and just loves this man more than anything. And apparently all the fucking loser-ass Bleach, fucking... the fucking assholes who, are like, came over from Bleach after Bleach ended to read One Piece. And just love themselves a fucking edgy-ass... boy like Law, are just, creaming their jeans like, oh, our Chad Law could never die here, to a scumbag like Blackbeard. Like, Kid could have used more. Like, we literally got Kid's backstory in a fucking SBS. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? If Kid doesn't come back and do something in Elbaf, or is like a part of the arc in some way, I'm gonna be pissed. Like, this is some bullshit. This is some big time bullshit going on right here. Like, it just sucks. Like, it just sucks. Like, the difference in treatment is a bummer. And, like, I don't need to see anything more from Law. Like, I get that, like, Oda's giving him, like, oh, he's a D and he wants to learn his destiny and shit. I don't fucking give a fuck. There's so many Ds who died and I don't give a fuck about. Like, give Kid some shit to do. Kid is cool. And, like, needs more fucking cool, like, story stuff. Like, why does he, like, resemble fucking Shanks so much? He has red hair and a missing arm. Like, I don't know, like, maybe he's, he could have been Shanks' son, and, like, that's why he's been wanted to get back at Shanks this whole time and has been, like, kind of targeting him from the start. There's so much that could have been done with Kid, man. Like, it's just... It is so fucking... And, like, him being an antagonist in Elbaf would be so cool. Like, to Luffy as, like, getting revenge on, on the, like, the giants of Elbaf, like, because of the way he was treated by Shanks and the fucking giants and the way his crew was fucking decimated. Like, turning Kid into, like, kind of like a villain, like, that's a possibility that could happen. It could still happen. But at this point, like, I'm just... The difference in the apparent treatment of these two groups of prominent pirates is just bumming me out, man. It's just like, come on, dude. Like, So what, like, Law gets to fuck up Blackbeard, but Kid can't even, like, survive one attack or block, you know, have one clash with Shanks or impress in some way. He just gets fucking him and his first mate just get immediately wiped out before his crew gets, you know, literally wiped out by, like, two giants who aren't even supposed to be there because they should be continuing their duel. Like, I don't know, like, characters literally from, like, chapter, like, 100 who, you know, have been so far eclipsed by other characters in the story. I don't know, man. It's just, like, it's just a bummer. Like, it's just a bummer. Like, it sucks to put a sour end on the chapter, but, like, Oda could still do something good with it. Like, it's not bad. It's just, like, kind of disappointing that this is, like, that, you know, Law gets the white glove treatment from Oda once again. It just sucks. But whatever. Anyway, this has been Chapter 1081, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of ChipZ Ahoy. It's been a good time. It doesn't say no break next week, I don't think. So I guess we're back to a weekly schedule, and Oda isn't going to do breaks every week, and maybe we'll get back to Egghead one of these days. I will say, it is funny that, I don't know if it's Oda who wrote this or the guys from TCB, but Humiliating Retreat is pretty funny. Be humiliated, Law. I hope you're humiliated. I hope the Law stands get to cry their eyes out by watching this, but most likely they'll just be like, well, at least he escaped where Kid got fucking, you know, decimated, which is just true. Like, the difference in treatment is just embarrassing and true. God damn it. Fuck off, Oda. Fuck off with this shit. Anyway, I'm done. Chapter 1081. This has been, I've been Chimpanzee. This has been ChipZ Ahoy. Thank you guys again for joining me on this episode of ChipZ Ahoy, and I will see you in the next one. Peace, and have a good night.